Is your phone on silent?
Mm. Yes, yes,
Push it this
boss.
way a little bit.
What?
The drink. Hi, guys. Thank you for joining. This is Essence of Life. And today we're talking about a surgical case that changed the way Dr. Abbasi thinks of spine surgery. I'm Amanda Armagast.
And I'm Dr. Abbasi for Essence. Obviously, I'm a neurosurgeon. That means that I work with brain and spine, and that was a long training for me to get trained in both of them. And I can tell you that there were lots of different surgeries that made an impact on me. But today you want to know about the spine surgery that really changed my view or my way of doing surgery and my life and my career. And that I can tell that was in 2012. So I finished actually my high school long time ago, long before you were born, 1986. I started the med school in Isfahan in Iran, and at that time, it seems that I was a little, I would say, more adventurous. I start in the med school. I start arguing against my theology teacher. Yes, we had theology in the school, and he didn't like it that I'm questioning his um, what he thought are facts, and for me was just opinions. So they threw me out of university, and I actually left Iran. I went to Germany. I went a year to a language school, then another year to a college. Then I started my medical school in Germany in 1989, and um, that med school in Germany is actually 6 to 7 years, and it include undergrad and grad together. So I finished my med school 1996. In 1993, I started a PhD in computer science for use of computers in a surgical theater, and that started 1993, and I finished that 1998. So my PhD and my med school, they were overlapping for a few years. And when I finished my obviously med school, I started residency in Germany. But because of my PhD and in computer science and surgical navigation, I got a research position in Stanford, California, where literally I was in Stanford helping them with the use of computers in the OR. And at that time, obviously, use of computers and surgical navigation in neurosurgery was a huge deal. Like we went from opening in the skull this big to opening in the skull this big because we could directly go where we need to go. And I can tell you a story about how important it is that in my residency in Germany, one of our older doctors, who was a very experienced doctor, he passed away a few years back, um, extremely experienced surgeon, he tried to do a smaller opening without neuronavigation, and then until he found out that he's off, few inches off, so he had to make a much bigger hole to get where he needs to go. With the surgical navigation, you wouldn't do that mistake. You would go directly. That reduces the damage to the surrounding tissue to get to the tumor where you want to take it out. Now, having said that, that technology was quite mature. We had two stroboscopic cameras that literally look into the surgical field, and you, in a process that we call registration, you would take that previous MRI or CAT scan, make a 3D picture of it, and put that 3D picture exactly where patient's head is. So when you have your instrument or your sucker, your bipolar, someplace in patient's head, it would show you exactly where in patient's head you are. That technology is actually what I'm worked a lot. So I was really good at that. So I used that in Heidelberg, and then I used that in Mannheim, and then that's why I went to Stanford. And it was that every surgery that machine was used, I had to be there to help them out. And at the same time, we start using it for the spine actually. But spine is much more complex. Imagine, you have a tumor in the head and you get a CAT scan, you get an MRI. That tumors in the head stays the same place when you get a CAT scan because head skull doesn't really move much, not really significantly. But spine is made of many segments. When you get it, like I lay you down on your back, I get a CAT scan or MRI of your spine. By the time you're in the war, all those segments are different, and even a little change makes it almost impossible to use that CAT scan or MRI and use it for navigation in the war. So we developed these methods to use how can we use the neuronavigation or these surgical navigation machines for the spine. That was really in infancy, and we built a machine to do that in 2001. Now, so I spent a lots of time on that, and I was really good at that. When I was here in the United States, I decided I don't want to go back to Germany for many reasons, but as well I saw how much more profound the training is here.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Well, in Germany, you're left to your own luck to get trained. If the boss like you, you get trained. If your boss doesn't like you, your residency might be 15 years and you never
Wow.
get trained. Whereas here, there is a program, but as well, I think it was a personal decision for me. I really felt home. So I decided to stay in California. Yeah, I decided to stay. So I was willing to work for almost. I started in California for $30,000. Then, I couldn't afford a room. It should be the shared bathroom. I barely could afford that, but still, I decided to stay and contribute significantly. I wrote programs. I created those machines because I said, this is home. That is, but on the side, that is the value if you give people home.
A community.
And community. They want to come, they want to stay, they are willing to get underpaid, and they're willing to contribute a lot. And that's what I did. So I decided to stay. I applied. I got the a position in general surgery in Dartmouth College, and then I applied again. I went to neurosurgery in Galveston, Texas. I started all over again. So I have already like 5-6 years of training, and I started all over again. So that is, people willing to go through all of that if you give them a home.
Yeah.
And that I have a problem with that we give the people feeling now you're not welcome here anymore.
Yeah, I think
But that's a different
that's a different
conversation.
Yeah, I was just talking to someone about that recently.
Now, so it is now 2002, and I start my neurosurgery residency all over in Galveston, Texas. I'm 33 years old. I've started all this process. I have a lot of knowledge. Like, they have intraoperative CT, and for them, it's magic how it works. I sit there, push the button, things just work because I brought a lot of expertise there. And I go through, I done in my residency in Galveston, I went to Houston, MD Anderson, Herman, Methodist. I mean, average resident is trained under 7 to 10 attending. I'm trained under 170 attending.
Wow.
I've been in a lots of places. I have a lot of knowledge. So I finished my residency, and I'm definitely, after 13, 14 years residency, I'm not your average resident. I'm ready. I'm doing really tremendous cases that people need a lot of time to get there. I do like craniopharyngioma, brainstem tumor, giant aneurysm, and so on and so forth. So,
because you had a lot of experience by this time.
Yes, I did. Again, I have twice as much experience as an average resident in United States.
And then compared to a resident in Germany.
Oh, that's not even a comparison. But what is important is that set up the premise that I'm not a novice. I start my position in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And my very first case is a pituitary adenoma. Like patient comes, nobody wants to take on that. It's a tumor that we go through the nose, take the tumor from the brain out. That's my very first case. Or all these very difficult case that nobody else wants to do, like thoracic cases, they are very difficult.
And still, not very many people are doing thoracic.
No, they hate to do that. That for the same reason. It is a difficult case. But for me, is okay. It's another case. Give it to me.
Mhm.
Now, I and that I take care of the patient. Okay, but on the other side, as well, this is the attitude. It's not like um I've just started, being like that and stopped it. I want to know new things. So I feel I'm really good at it. Okay, so at the spine, um, like the very first spine case that I did with my attending in Galveston, we did a one level fusion. It's 7 hours. By the way, there are some people here in this town still need 7 hours for that case. And
You did a one level fusion today, didn't you?
no, I did 2 level.
2 level? How long
Yeah.
did it take?
And that took us 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Yeah. So, but that's one level. Then the standard takes 7 hours.
Mhm.
Patient lose almost need 4 blood transfusion, goes in the ICU for 3 days, and so on and so forth. Now I'm out of residency. I need like 2.5, 3 hours, and I feel good about myself. Say, hey, look at that. Your attending used to do that in 7 hours. You do it in 2.5 hours. That patient go to ICU. Yours maybe go to ICU, but maybe not. Most likely not. And after 3 days, 4 days, they're ready to go home. Doesn't have to stay like 4 weeks in the hospital like when you used to do that, and so on and so forth. And the risk of infection is lower, and so on. So I'm like most of neurosurgeons are. I'm full of myself. Okay.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, obviously. Um, and then I think uh, in 2011 or so, one of these reps actually comes to me, and the reps want to be, they suck up to you. You call them surgeons, emotional support person. They just say, tell them how good they are, and so on and so forth. So they're very careful to say anybody does anything
Of course.
better. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Still.
he comes to me and tells me that he have heard of a surgery of a surgeon in Georgia, in Atlanta, that they do a one level fusion under 1 hour. And I'm very familiar with this surgery. I know that, yeah, you can, if you're really good, you can do it in 2 hours. Maybe if you're exceptional, you can do it in 1.5 hours. But doing under 1 hour, something is not right about that. So literally tell him bullshit. But I think that is my blessing. I didn't just say bullshit and walked away. I said bullshit. I want to see it. And that's when I traveled to Atlanta, Georgia, in the company at that time called Amendia, where this procedure, OLLIF, transcamin OLIF, was, a few doctors invented that. And
Who?
there were 3 doctors, Dr. Bishop, no, Dr. Who was it?
Tally.
Dr. Talley, Dr. Schelling, and another doctor, I forgot his name, that they started this process, but that was still it's in infancy, that it wasn't really optimized.
Mhm.
So in 2012, I go there and I'm in a surgery center, not in a hospital. I see them to do a one level fusion in about 55 minutes. And that was for me, I think that was like a shock and all,
Mhm.
because I knew this is not you're doing the same surgery just faster. Imagine um, you're in this room and you have to go to other side of the building, but you have to go through 5 doors and turn 5 times to get to that part of the building. And now all of a sudden, I show you another door that you didn't know in this room. You open up and you go there just by one step.
So when you
This
make-
is this is how that surgery was. Instead of doing 50 different things to get where you need to go, you go there right away.
So when you made the search, like when you were doing it and it went from 7 hours to like 2 or 3 hours, what was the difference there?
Well, in a regular surgery, traditionally, we open your back like this big, and then we literally, not figuratively, literally strip the muscle of the bone. We fillet you open, and then we cut the bone to get to the disc. Disc is 9 out of 10 times where the problem lies. So, and to get to the disc, the traditional teaching is if you go to traditional surgery, we call it TLF, PLEF, is you make a midline incision, you literally burn all the muscle away, strip them, cut the bone to get there. So imagine, and that alone takes about 1 to 1.5 hours. I imagine now today morning I did that surgery. It took me 4 minutes to get there because I didn't do any of that. Just the idea that you don't have to do all of that to get there is still foreign to lots of people. You have seen how people react on LinkedIn when I tell them
Yeah.
I do that surgery. Now, um, the same surgery that Dr. Talley did in 2012, I knew that's different. That's really changed. It is like I don't have to take a horse ride from here to Chicago. I can take an airplane. That was for me. But on the other side, imagine people who are just driving a horse. Now you give them an airplane. Ah, well, how do I fly that?
Right.
It is not, let's say not even horse ride. Let's say you're a good surgeon, you're a good driver. You drive very good, you drive very safe. If you have a better car, you drive maybe 10% better than the rest of the people, 20% better than the rest of the people. But you don't know the concept of flying. That's when I go and tell people we do this surgery in I do a 1 level fusion in 30 minutes now.
Or even a 3 level fusion in a surgery center.
I do it in surgery center. I do a 3 level surgery on a surgery center on somebody with a high BMI that even our societies tell, oh, this is too risky for traditional way.
Mhm.
I do it in the surgery centers, and in about an hour, I send the patient home 2 hours later. And when I tell that to people, if they don't know, if you driving is all you know, and you don't know what flying is, you say he's a liar, he's a charlatan, he doesn't know what he's doing, he's just going to kill people, he's cutting corner and so on. But all of a sudden you show them, it's not driving that he's doing different. Once they see that, they understand it makes sense, and everybody can do that, but it requires additional learning. So when I went there in Georgia and I watched that surgery, it is like my eyes were opened. You don't have to go through 5 doors, 20 turns to get there. There's a hidden door. That hidden door is called Cambin Triangle that take you directly where you need to go. But you need to have the right technology, right training to get there. It is like a hidden door. It is not like this is a regular door, but the other door that you go shortcut to where you need to be is a door that you have to with a like in a dark room. You don't see directly. You
But
have
it's
to have
also a
X-rays.
safer door.
It is a safer door, much safer door, because you don't have to kill the muscle, you don't have to cut the muscle, you don't have to cause a lot of damage to get there, and we have the data to prove that. Now, having said that, still in 2012, that was literally a very complex surgery. Like it was flying, but it was like flying a airplane from 1910. That lots of factors, not optimized, lots of things. Now, what I did then, I said, this this needs work, but that's just who I am. It's just I just status quo is not good enough for me. So I brought it in. As a matter of fact, um, it was so difficult to really get things you need to do the surgery. I had to create actually a company to make it easy to get what you need to do that. And that company is now, the ARM or Inspired Spine and so on, that we just make it easy not only to have what you need, but as well Imagine like you have you ever driven at the stick shift?
No.
You have never done that. So people who have done that, they know it is doable. You can do it, but you need more skills. You have to add another thing that take your attention away. But what about we give you an automatic? We give you a tool that you don't have. It doesn't let you do wrong.
Yeah.
Like in a stick shift, you have to adjust the speed of the engine to the speed of the car before you change the shift, before you shift the gear.
Sure.
Because if the speeds are not same, one is going to put too much stress on the other system. But imagine, yeah, you can do that. You can learn that. But imagine if you don't even have to do that. That is what we did with the Olaf, that we made the technology make it easier that you can concentrate on taking care of the patient rather than how one instrument limitations going to affect your flow of the surgery.
But why should the patient care about what's happening when they're sleeping? Like, why should they care about what's happening under anesthesia?
Well, what they should care about, because if the surgeon have to take care of 50 other things additional to taking care of them, it's going to be more prone to do mistakes.
Mhm.
And patients should definitely care about mistakes. Like, do you think our safety record for flying now and 50 years ago is it the same?
Way different.
Very different.
Way
Or
safer
even
now.
cars, even our cars. Do you think our safety in the car today and 50
Well,
years
my
ago?
safety in my car right now compared to my car that I just had, my last car is even different. Like,
And
my
that,
car now has an automatic stop if I'm about to crash.
and that is exactly what we did with Olaf and our with our technology. That by protocolizing things, by learning from lots of experience, that at every point we have made it safer and safer. But more importantly, we have shown how you can learn it in a structured way. That many of the things we learn they have their own learning curve. That means that you start somewhere and then you learn as you go. And obviously, while you're learning, your mistakes, your problems are going to be at a higher rate. And that's a dirty secret of the spine surgeon. Once we are done with the residency, 95% of spine surgeons are done. They literally do the same thing. And if they have to learn a new thing, if they're lucky, they go to Vegas. They do 2 to 4 hours of cadaver lab, the 20 hours of gambling,
And drinking and
and
partying
drinking and partying, and then come back home,
and
um,
do
do
the
that,
procedure.
and they have mistakes until they get good at it. Because after that, they don't go to a structured way of step
So
by step
what's
learning it.
different? What's different about the way that you're teaching it?
Well, you see, I came home, and you can imagine it was very exciting doing that. And still, I remember my first patient, and that patient actually still reminds me of how excited I was when I went and talked to the husband that everything went well. And I obviously disclosed to them this is my first case. I have lots of experience, but for this procedure is my first case, and so on. And then I just didn't let any single case go to waste.
Mhm.
I documented, I learned from every, and then I got better and better. And I noticed there are certain things. It's not just my mistake. It's a, I would say, it is just how the situation is that lead you in certain direction, but another direction is better.
Sure.
So, and that is what the science is. You do things, you learn from that, and you do it better, and then you do it better, and you do it better. Like, let me start with very simple things. In the OR, it's a limited amount of space. How you position those machines there impact how you're going to perform. Literally, it can be living hell or a breeze, depending on how you put the machines. It took me 200 cases to just figure out what the optimum position of all these machines are for this procedure after trying all the other things.
Yeah, and I've seen your documentation a little bit for that, how you have 3 different setups now and you mapped it out, and then anyone that you want to train, you just give that to them.
So they don't have to go through that learning curve.
Mhm.
So, because you see, in the learning curve, naturally your complication is much higher.
Right.
and you want to get a good picture here, but literally the other machine is in your way. So how can you have a position in the war that optimize that you don't sabotage yourself, so to say? You can figure it out. There are smart people, but they don't have to by just taking, or how to set up the room, what drape you use, and so on. So I say to people, these days I do a two-level fusion in 45 minutes an hour. I'm not proud of that. I mean, after doing over 2,000 of that, I would be a dummy if I wouldn't get better.
Yeah.
But what I'm proud of, that people who try to do what I do, in 1/10 of the cases, they have my efficiency. I'm really proud of that, that I didn't just do it and accept it, and I didn't hold the knowledge, oh, it's me, I'm not going to give it anybody, but I packaged it and I passed to anybody who want to learn that, so they don't have to go through my learning curve. They can just take my learning curve and build on it,
Yeah.
and get better on it. So
What I think is interesting is when I first started here, I think it was like 2022, that we went to a state and to do some training. You were training another surgeon, and he was bragging about how less than 100 surgeons in the world,
no, it said 1 in 10,000. He was
one
saying.
in 10,000 can do this procedure, and he was really proud of that. And at the time, I was helping you with like
Hmm.
marketing the procedure itself, and I think you and I had 30 surgeons that were doing the OLIF procedure at
At
that
that
time.
time, less than
On-
25.
yeah,
Yeah, at that
only
time. Yeah.
about 25, 30. And then now we got back from India 1 month ago, and the last day of training in India, there were over 70 surgeons training.
Training, yeah.
That's just one group of
One
people.
group
So I
of
think
people.
that's really something that you should be excited about.
Yeah, I am excited about that, but as well, I see that they can, but then as you know, we made it really easy with
Yeah.
protocols and the hardware. And for a long time, um, people would come from other countries. I had no choice. I mean, to give them the instrumentation, it was the American prices are too high for most of these
Yeah.
countries. And last year we gave it all our intellectual property. We donated to India. Now they're building it at 1/10 of the price. Like when we went there, people from many countries came there, and they literally left with a set of instrument, and they
And
are
no,
doing now the surgery.
but do you remember when that one doctor left? He was like, "I couldn't sleep last night. I was so excited to get home and do the procedure," and he did it right away.
He did it right away.
Yeah.
And so, because these are, they understand
Yeah.
that. Now, people ask me, some of my patients asking me, if this is so good, why aren't more people in the United States not doing that?
That's definitely a two-parter.
Yeah, that's a two-parter. One part of that is that when people get comfortable with what they are doing, they don't want to go to back of the line and start a new learning curve.
And you know the saying, "You can't teach an old dog new tricks." I think
That's
that
part of it, yeah.
yeah, there might be some type of ego involved.
Always. I mean, I told you I was full of myself when, after 13 years of residency,
Was.
your faces.
Was both.
it Now, more experience you get, more humble you become,
Yeah.
because nature, call it nature, destiny, universe, God, has a way of humbling you.
I've always said that God has a sense of humor.
Yeah, well, especially when you are sure of yourself. I can tell you from my career. Every time I was saying, "Oh, this is easy. This you have done it so often." As soon as you have go with that attitude, bad things start happening. You have to be absolutely conscious about that. What you do is you have somebody else's life in your hand, somebody else's father, mother,
Mhm.
daughter, son, husband, wife, lives in your hand. Literally, what you do uh, can kill them.
Yeah.
And you have to be conscious. You just pay attention to that. You just concentrate on what you need to do. You're flying like a pilot, flying. There are 300 people in the back there.
Right.
Yeah,
Trusting you.
you don't take the chips out, start eating while you're trying to land. And that is actually That's why I get really concerned. You have seen me in the war. I don't joke. I don't socialize.
Well, you don't even play music.
No, and sometimes people think that's they take it like, oh, he's just unfriendly and so on. No, but I'm not there to socialize with anybody. I'm just there to do a very very highly technical job and so on. But coming back to that, yeah,
What's the second reason?
why the people don't adopt that? Well, no, the first reason is they have to go back to school and learn. The second reason, and go back on the line of the learning curve, the second thing is the ego. These are the two reasons. Yeah.
Okay, well,
It
I
is,
also had another reason in mind, which is a
yeah,
little, maybe even more controversial, you could say, but the
financial.
industry,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
big players in the industry are preventing um, like the
They,
advancement because
no
they have
question.
contracts with the hospital,
Yeah,
and the hospital
they don't even let the new technology come to the hospital
exactly.
by forcing the hospital not to accept anything but there are five big spine companies, and they are killing innovation in the United States.
And then because they're killing innovation, they're killing patient care
Literally they're killing patient.
and killing patients.
No,
Yeah,
literally, for a
yeah.
traditional surgery, the rate of mortality rate, meaning how many patients die, is 0.3% for spinal fusion. 0.3 doesn't sound like a lot, meaning 1 in 300 patients. But considering about 1.5 million of these surgeries are performed, we're talking about 20 full passenger airplane crashing and everybody dying every year because of people don't want to get trained, people ego, and mostly because these industries, they if it's not what they can profit from, they're going to do everything they can to shut it down.
And that's something we're talking about next week actually is the hidden costs of traditional spine surgery because these industries, these people are also making it more expensive for people.
Absolutely, absolutely. They're making not only surgery more expensive, but delivering care as a
Mhm.
whole a lot more
Yeah.
expensive. Yeah, they're breaking the system, so to say, but they're temporarily profiting from it. Why? And that profit is tremendous. Some of these companies, they make any every quarter they make billions of dollars
Well,
every
United
quarter.
United Health was like the number four largest profit company in the U.S. last year,
Yeah,
a health insurance company.
but United is an insurance company. Here we are talking mostly about the
Medtronic
device
and yeah,
companies that
but it is
literally
both.
it is a combination of both. As a matter of fact, it's a combination of the device companies, insurance, and big hospital
Yeah,
system
definitely.
that preventing this new technology make it to the patient.
And that's we'll talk about that next
We
week.
definitely
I
have
want to
to.
know how your first Olaf patient did.
So, my first olive patient did well, very well. Left the hospital in a day or two.
How
Um,
long would they have stayed otherwise?
Three times
Six
longer.
6 days.
3 times longer. 5 days after the two. It was, I believe, it was a two-level surgery. It would have stayed at least a week, but that patient stayed just a night or two, if I remember, with a like a half a cup of coffee, blood loss. No, that patient did well for 10 years,
Mhm.
but then that patient had aged 10 years.
Yeah, of course.
Like I fixed one of your tires, and then 10 years later, your other problem and so on. So, and we fixed those other problems later on as well. So, I think the last time I saw that patient, 10 years later, I fixed another problem. The last time I saw that patient was a year ago.
Okay.
So, overall, that patient did really well.
That patient did
Yeah.
that patient come here? I
I
bet that
have
was so
multiple
cool for that
testimonials.
patient to come here and see like they're your first patient and then they see what you've built.
Yeah, and that patient have gotten multiple testimonials from that patient online, and I have thousands of patient testimonials. See, I'm I'm a little, I would say, stubborn. I don't give up,
Mhm.
but um, but I knew I'm going to have a steep uh, kind of work to convince people this is real.
It's a constant uphill battle, even now.
And even now, but it's getting easier because uh,
Because you have
you
more soldiers too.
yeah, and as well, you saw when we went to India, people understand how important is what we are
Yeah,
doing.
that's what I'm talking
They
about.
treat us with respect, and like you remember, in India, people just standing in line to take picture with us,
Mhm.
because we influence their work and so on, and they're actually seeing that we are willing to give it away, because unfortunately lots of people who have something new, they're not freely willing to give it away, unfortunately.
No, they want to benefit as much as they can.
Yeah, and
But I think the benefit to you is just seeing it growing and
oh
seeing.
yeah, I mean, what is better joy in life to see people are copying you? And one of the best thing was I went and trained some surgeon in multiple places, but I was there in the back room. I was visiting that surgeon for a follow-up training and so on. I just was in the background because that surgeon was already trained,
Mhm.
and some of the nurses in the background just talking about how that surgeon is doing that and so on, how everything is specific and so on. And I'm just background, yeah, they're doing it exactly the way I don't even need them to know that I did all of
Right.
that. I'm just in the background enjoying, that's going to help
That's the
somebody.
biggest compliment to you that you
Yes,
could receive.
and that nobody need to know that. I don't need them to praise me and so on,
Right.
but just the fact that they're doing it that way and that's helping somebody, what a bigger joy in life. Like you draw a painting. Imagine you go to a gallery, your painting is on the wall, and people who don't know who you are, they're just looking at that and admiring it and so on. That is, I think, that's enough ego for
It's the
me.
most genuine, yeah, it's the most genuine compliment you can receive.
Yes, it is.
So in 30 seconds or less, just give me like your takeaway from that case.
That
What
case
did you
is that um, things were done from my perspective, completely outside of the box, the way I wasn't expecting it to be, and and it was not only safe and better, but I could have an impact to make it even better. I could have an impact to make it that everybody can do it and learn it better. And that was for me the eye opener.
Well, thank you guys for watching. This was Essence of Life, and we talked about a case that changed the way Dr. Abbasi sees spine surgery. I'm Amanda Armagast.
And I'm Dr. Abbasi for Essence.
Have a safe weekend.